appears that President Donald Trump's efforts to overhaul the nation's voting system has run into a bit of a snag, a legal snag. According to reports, a federal judge has recently blocked the federal election officials from enforcing Donald Trump's executive order, forcing states to apply citizenship requirements on voters, saying that it imposes significant burdens and would harm people who are eligible voters, meaning voters who are obviously citizens and who are legally allowed to vote. Because of course, right? Now, U.S. District Judge Denise Casper agreed to grant a preliminary injunction sought by attorneys general from 19 states who brought their legal challenge to Trump's executive order in April and even sought to block sections of it. There are 5 sections, by the way, that are going to be blocked. Casper found that the states were likely to succeed in their case, and she is, of course, the second judge to rule on preventing the Trump administration from implementing some of these provisions in his executive order. In April, a federal judge in Washington, D.C. agreed to issue another preliminary injunction, actually the first in a trio of cases, brought by voting rights groups and the Democratic Party. So now Casper wrote in her ruling, there is no dispute, nor could there be, that U.S. citizenship is required to vote in federal elections, and the federal voter registration forms require attestation of citizenship. The issue here is whether the president can require documentary proof of citizenship where the authority for election requirements is in the hand of Congress. Its statutes do not require it, and the statutorily created EAC is required to go through a notice and comment period and consult the states before implementing any changes to the federal forms for voter registration. The ruling ultimately blocks Trump administration from implementing a provision that mandates the EAC, a federal independent regulatory commission, to require documentary proof of citizenship in the standardized national voter registration form, and mandates that states record information about the documents presented by voters. Casper said the executive order's instruction for the EAC to add that requirement conflicts with the will of Congress. Yes, because it does. She noted that because the president does not have a constitutional duty to direct the content of election regulations, the executive order's mandate by the EAC is undue interference. That ruling also stops the Secretary of Defense from having members of the military and overseas voters have to present documentary proof of citizenship and proof of eligibility to vote in federal elections. Neither the Constitution nor any statute grants the president the authority to enact that provision, Casper wrote. Other provisions covered by Casper's injunction require the heads of federal voter registration agencies to assess citizenship before providing a voter registration form to people enrolled in public assistance programs, and order the Attorney General to take action against states that count mail-in ballots received after Election Day. Remember, one of the provisions there was to basically have one day for counting ballots. There's no way that the states can do that. There's no way they're able to count all the ballots, and that's the point. Especially for the more populous blue states that have much, much higher populations than Oklahoma, for example, right? California, millions. California takes a very long time to count the votes because they have a lot of votes. When you limit it to one day, you are potentially cutting off millions of votes that should be counted. And that is, of course, by design. It is by design. But anyway, Casper did, that the requirements pose an expensive and time-consuming burden on the states and risk chilling voter registration and participation, which, of course, that is by design. All right? The president, look, is not a king, is not an emperor, not a dictator, as much as he wants to be, as much as he's trying to be. He's not. The power to decide how federal elections are run ultimately belongs to Congress and in the states, as put forth by the Constitution, which gives state legislatures and the authority to set the times, places, and manners of holding elections. Okay. But what about the illegals, Mark? There's so many illegals that are voting. First of all, they don't. There's no evidence, no proof of that. And if you're alleging that and you don't have proof, well, then you're lying. That's what you're doing. Okay. And so this administration is lying about undocumented immigrants voting. They're not. Okay. And by the way, it is also already illegal for undocumented immigrants to vote anyway. There's no problem here. Not only can voting, if you're not a citizen, lead to fines and up to 5 years in prison, because they will find you, non-citizens may also face deportation or have their legal status revoked. Not only that, but lying about U.S. citizenship in order to register to vote also can lead to deportation. If you're an immigrant and you're undocumented, or you're here with legal paperwork but are not a citizen, there is no upside for you to vote in elections, to put yourself at risk like that. Because again, you will be caught. What this is, part of a way to go after a non-existent problem and to make the requirements for you to vote so onerous that you will just not vote, that you will choose to stay home. That's it. The less people will be encouraged to turn out for elections, and that is the real goal here. Make no mistake, they just want to make the process as difficult as possible so that you will not turn out. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.